Okay, so in 7.3, grade 11, can I have attention? 7.3, number 6a was asked about here. Solve each equation and verify your solutions graphically. Okay, so if we have absolute value of x and we have this other function over here, you can think about the graphs if you want, and think about how these graphs might look, and you can guess how many solutions there might be if there are any. But you don't have to graph it first. So it says solve each equation and then check really by graphing. So how you would do that is understand that this absolute value of x here could represent either a negative x or a positive x. So if you just apply the negative to each side, or you can apply it to the other side, it doesn't really matter, right? But if you show this as a positive or a negative, then you can solve. So in this case, if we make this equal to 0 and I add x to both sides, I get what? X squared plus 2x minus 3. And then over here, I'll just do this one as well. If I subtract an x from both sides, I get 0 equals x squared minus 3. All right, the x's cancel out. And that's another little shortcut. If you see the exact same term on both sides of an equation, if you see the exact same term, you can just cancel them out. Right? Because if you subtract that from one side, you'll subtract it from the other side too, and they'll just be gone. So it's a little shortcut, right? Okay, so now we need to solve these. So if we can solve by factoring, then great. If not, we might have to use the quadratic formula, which is no problem. So what can we do here? I think we can factor this, right? So this looks like x, what? Plus 3, x minus 1. That multiplies to negative 3 and adds up to positive 2. So it looks like x should be equal to negative 3 and positive 1 here. Now we're going to check this, right? Over here, you can get x squared all by itself. X is only in one term. So you can take the square root of both sides, and x is going to be plus or minus the square root of 3. Remember, when you take the square root during a question, you have to account for the plus and minus, or the positive and negative versions. So these look like your 4 answers right now, but you have to check those. So whether you do that officially or just informally, let's plug in negative 3. So what do we get? That's positive 9 minus 3 minus 3. So that's 9 minus 6 is 3. So the absolute value of negative 3 is positive 3, so that seems to check out. This one. Okay? And if you just check the others as well, so if you check 1, 1 plus 1 minus 3, oh, that's going to be equal to negative 1. And the absolute value of negative 1 is not negative 1. The absolute value of positive 1 is not negative 1. So that one looks like it doesn't check out, if I've done that correctly. And then over here, the square root of 3, so root 3 squared plus root 3 minus 3, that should equal root 3. Is that true? Well, we have root 3, and root 3 squared is 3. 3 minus 3, yeah, that seems to check out. Negative root 3, well, we have an absolute value, so an absolute value can't really equal the negative. So what I'm saying here is if we had absolute value of negative root 3, that would still be positive root 3, but this would be, over here, this would be plus a negative root 3. So then you'd have positive root 3 equals negative root 3, which doesn't work. So it looks like the negative doesn't work here. So your solutions for A should be negative 3 and positive root 3. Does that check out? Okay, so again, don't worry about the, and I'll check graphically in a second, but don't worry about the domain part of it. I find that students get caught up on the domain part. It's like, oh, where is this positive, where is this negative, where is this no good? Don't worry about that. Just get all your answers algebraically and then check them all. It's not going to take you any more time, really. Now graphically, okay, so we can graph these two. I'll just flip over to Desmos here. Oh, where did my Desmos go? Right here. Flip over to Desmos, and we'll get rid of that. let's do absolute value of x here. So absolute value of x. And let's also do, sorry, what was it? X squared. What was it? X squared plus x minus 3? Is that what it was? Okay. So there's graph, the graphs, and we have negative 3, 3. So it looks like x equals negative 3 is a solution. And we have x equals 1.7, so that is the positive square root of 3. So those are the two solutions there. So check graphically. Okay? All right, so negative root 3 would have happened if this line extended down here. That's where the positive, or the negative root 3 right there would have happened, but it's absolute value, so that's why you got to double check that stuff. And then here's the other one over here that we had to reject. X equals positive 1 there, looks like. Had to reject that because this graph does not continue through. Okay, so just keep checking. Any questions on that?